welcome to this stream. Welcome to episode number 14 of this game dev series by Ozzy related to the racing car game that he is developing. Of course, with me, as you can see, there is Ozzy, which I need to unmute. Hello, Ozzy. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the stream also, as always.
Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, depending of your time zone. Thanks for having me once again.
Yeah. So today we are going to also try something different. Not from the beginning, because we need to finish what we started last week. Because we didn't finish all the slides of last week. And then, was it last week or the one before? I forgot. 2 weeks ago.
Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday.
So
yeah.
let's say 10 days ago, something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we need to finish those slides. And then we have also something different. Well, different to a certain extent. It's still Amiga stuff. But yes. So, without any further ado, let me go to my usual ritual and do my prayer. So, guys, all I ask you is to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like the videos because this is how YouTube shares them. I have to say, this week I experienced something that I never thought of, to be honest, on YouTube, which was, I had one of the videos, which is a short video. I don't know what happened to it, but for some reason this video was viewed a lot than anything else. It's not normal. Normally a short video is viewed, I don't know, 100 when I release it, and that's it. This one exceeded the 400. So, and it was just like that. In just a flick of a second, exceeded the 400. So, I don't know how, but guys, please do the likes, because this is how YouTube shares them, I think. I have no other idea, or I didn't do anything special to the video than just release it normally. I didn't even advertise it as I should do. So yeah, it seems that putting likes, you get sometimes such boost. As always, I remind you that under each video here, there is, if you click the show more, there is more links related to the video or things related to sources or things like that. Not always, but most of the time there is. If it's sources, you will go to Mega, where you can download the sources. As you can see, there are only two directories, Amiga or Commodore 64, so any sources related to those. I have my Facebook page, which I've been saying, and it's true now. I'm working on the Facebook page, I use it like a blog, but it doesn't work for me. It's impossible to go back in time. So I am building another website, let's say that. Oh, hello, Dogster. I didn't realize you're here. Thanks for Hound Dog to noticing that. So yeah, hopefully I will have something new, and this also means that there will be enhancement. I hope I will be able to also enhance Patreon and Ko-fi with what I'm doing. According to the tests that I did, it's a yes, but you know, it's one thing saying and one thing having it. like YouTube, please subscribe, like the posts on Phaze101, and also join the Phaze101 group. I also post everything here, but here I do not go and look for how I post it, because this is more for a chat. It's a way of chatting more than anything else. And of course, there is the Commodore Dev group, which I invite you all to subscribe to it and join it, and put also likes. If you send me messages on Facebook, I do reply, but the place where I will reply is Discord. I can see that Dario sent some messages. I cannot reply to them right now because I'm on streaming, but I will reply to Dario later on. Hello, Z3. I've seen what you did, and I was told you did it with Amos, so I'm interested in that. Anyway, so please send me messages on Discord, whether it's direct or on the group, but I do reply. If you do not like neither Discord nor Facebook, then you have the other option of Telegram. You can join Telegram. The links are always in the upper right hand corner, but there is the link tree, which I think if you type links, I'm a hound dog, if you can type link, all the links will show up. There's a link for all of them, basically. If you want to go that extra mile and support us, then you can join Patreon or Coffee. They are identical, where you get access to videos that I haven't released on YouTube. Some videos do get released on YouTube after time, some don't. So it depends. I do not have the intention of I do not have the intention that I will always release everything on YouTube. Also because it's not fair, I think, to those that support me. Let's say that. We haven't had another game jam. Just to make you aware that the game jam of the tanks now is finished. So there will be another one, but we haven't put the advert of it. I know what it will be, and I know till when it's going to be, but yeah. Right now, most of the Italians are sleeping. No offense, Ozzy. But yes, it's what is called Ferragosto, so they take it easy this month. So yeah, all the submissions to the game jam, those that want this, also go on the Retro Programmers Inside HIO page. It doesn't mean the game is on the page, but the link to your page, so it's a good advert in a way. That if you get a game here, you get the link and they go to your HIO page, so they see other stuff of yours. So it's a good way of, because lots of people view this page, because every time we release, I don't know if you noticed, every time we release after my stream, after we release the games, it's like people come, boom, they suck them all, they take them all, and then you start seeing videos and stuff like that, and normally you get link. I mean, it's through the links, no? So it's a good way of advertising your own game. That's what we are realizing with this page. So that's what I had to say. So what do you say, Ozzy? Shall we start? Shall I pass to you the slides and we can continue from the slides?
Yeah. Let's continue with the slides and let's continue from where we left off last 10
Okay,
days.
so here are the slides. You can start.
It was a separate topic because last time I talked about how the Amiga uh, plays audio, at least the
Yes.
fundamentals. And this is another problem I was trying to solve while developing RC. But this is a common problem for me that happens every time. So what I was saying is that I have this problem every time I write something on assembler. And the problem is the branching. I'm not saying that the branching doesn't work on assembler. I just say that when I program in higher languages like C, for example, every time I want to write a condition, it's quite easy because the if statement in C is very human readable, and it's me it's much better to use an if statement in C rather than compare and then check the status register and then branch if something happens, or do not branch if something else happens. So what I ended up is this set of macros that are embedded inside my AProcessing, and they are just a simple way to me, a mnemonic way to branch. And this is, let's say, a try to be like Mortz, but in assembler. Because really, sometimes writing stuff in assembler, even if you are very used to use this yes, assembler language, really things are very slow and very prone to error. And I'm just trying to avoid as many pitfalls as possible, even if, of course, it's will never be 100% solved this problem, but at least uh, I realize that I often write the branches wrong way. I don't take it into account if I'm comparing signed numbers or unsigned numbers, and this leads to problems and bugs that are hard to spot. And the main reason for that is because the M60A assembler has so many type of branches that I don't remember the mnemonics for each type of branch. The most common one, but really it's a pain for me. It's a pain. So sets of macros just help me to um, navigate into this ocean of branches a little bit better. Um, I want to mention that all these branches just use the CMP BCC instruction in combination. Maximum optimization, sometimes it's possible just to issue the BCC command without the compare instruction because your status register is already okay for the branching. But anyway, this is another optimization topic. I created this set of macros, and the structure is if one greater two or less two or greater equal to. So I'm just comparing the first argument with the second, and then I state which the size of the comparison. It's a word. I just implemented a word so far because it's what I usually do. Then the last letter, it just states if I want to do a comparison for signed and unsigned numbers. And if the condition is true, I don't branch. If the condition is false, I go into the branch, which in my mind represents the else statement in C. This is the main idea, the main concept. Of course, probably most of you doesn't really need that. You don't need that probably. I don't know. It's just a quicker way for me to do things, and that's it. I have a set of tests inside the AProcessing repository that just shows how to use all these branches. Of course, they are quite all these tests are quite trivial. I just branch if I give random numbers and then test if it's greater, it's less, or all the cases. So boring stuff, but since sometimes assembler is a pain, and this is just to try to smooth things out the way I can. Do we have another slide, I think, about this?
There you have.
I turn the page.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, this is, for example, here I'm testing if the number 65,535 is greater than the number 346. And of course, you have to take care of the syntax here, because the CMP instruction doesn't allow you to make some sort of comparison. For example, you can't compare memory areas. You have always to put a register here. It must be in a very specific order. So here I'm just saying if this number, so number 1 is greater of the number inside the 0, and then the condition is true, and I execute BRA, which stands for branch always. I branch to the end. Otherwise, I branch to the else label, and the condition is not true. So this is a quick way for me to emulate an if-else statement in C, but I'm doing this in assembler. And the syntax, the construct is not the same, but in my mind is something that goes toward the C direction. I don't know if I explained this quite well or not, but I think you got the idea. I'm just trying to make branching a little bit easier for me. That's the goal. Maybe I should also add some checks. For example, if you put some two immediate numbers, the macro should take into account that and give you an error. Just some conversion. I don't know. This is something that I will take into account in the future. For now, the macro is very easy. And please turn again the page. I think it's the last slide. And I just want to show how these macros are constructed. And because macroing is not really something that is inside the processor, the M68000 has no clue what a macro is. This is something which is interpreted by this case by devpack. The construction is the following. I stated in the first line, which is the name of the macro. Then you see there are these EFC keywords, which has a special meaning for devpack and also for VASM, which means please compare, check if the user provided some data as input. So the \1 is referring to the first argument, which was supplied in the macro. And I'm just checking this argument against the empty string. And if it means, for example, that the user didn't provide enough arguments to the macro, and I issue this fail command, which again, it's not a processor instruction. It's just a keyword for devpack and VASM. And when you try to compile this, you get this missing first operand message. And then there is mexit. And mexit, it just stops assembling your code. So it's just a sanity check here in order to avoid the user do not use the macro properly. The same stuff occurs for the second parameter and the third and the fourth. So I think it's very straightforward, and I think the devpack developers back in the day did a good job implementing all these facilities. And they are very helpful in this sea of assembler mess. And the last instruction, the cmp.w and bcc, it's just what you get after all this macro processing. So at the end, in your code, you have the machine code only for the cmp instruction and the bcc instruction. So it's very convenient. You can include my macro file in your code and it won't bloat the final executable or the size of anything. Just take into account that in order to branch, I always do the CMP and the branch instruction. Okay, so I would say we just leave branches now because it's a very boring subject, even if they are needed at the time.
Yeah.
Just want to mention two little things about the game.
So we need to show the game, no?
Yeah, wait a moment. I just want to say
Yeah, sure,
something about
sure.
it. First of all, the game is, I would say, is almost completed. I implemented every feature that I had in mind from a coding point of view. I I don't know if I will put something else, new features or whatever. Maybe some small optimization. I don't know, but really, right now in my mind there is nothing new to add. I I'm almost depleted the ideas. So that's the final game. What I'm going to do right now is just to add documentation, add graphic assets, tracks, and the plan is to make a short demo of this game in Spoleto. I don't know if I will grant permission from Paolo D'Urso, which is the host of this event. I don't know if I will have some space. The last year, Paolo was very nice just to allow me to present my work, even if informally. Not, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a real talk about my game. I just put my works on the on Amiga, and the Amiga was just running my triangles demo, and that's it. But the real target for this is a demo party, which usually presents something which is held in Argentina, Buenos Aires, I think. And so I will release the game in this period, which is October. There is a game competition, and yeah, I will submit the all my game. As always, it will be free and open source. Everyone can take the code and destroy the code, do whatever he wants. Just in summary, I don't know if I will continue this artsy series, because for me it's finished from the coding point of view, and I have this desire to go back doing demos, because for me it's fun. It's very fun doing demos. I'm not saying that it make games it's boring, but there are some, I would say, have to some steps that you forced to do. For example, in my game, I have to build this menu, and I must instruct the game that when the user press enter, then you might have to load, change the screen, and then you have to select the car. All these things are pretty boring to me. It reminds me something like web developing, which is, or database thinking. It's all this boring stuff that I'm trying to avoid at all costs. So I'm getting some help from Carlo. He's giving me his artwork. There is also a cracktro for a free and open source game, which is quite interesting. I will try to include his the final ADF. There will be instruction how to create your own box if you want it. But yeah, I think with Ember, I will try to start another project, and I will leave Artsy as it is from the coding point of view. So I don't know. This is my intention, and I will see. Maybe tomorrow I come up with a new wonderful feature, and I want to talk about this in this stream. But for now, no ideas.
So next one
Um,
will be a demo. What you will be doing?
uh, what I would like to do is two things.
Hmm.
So first of all, and so I'm going also to introduce the second part of today, which is about RTG retargetable graphics card. Because I always have this thing in my mind to port my game into a retargetable screen. It's not easy because I don't have any experience on this side of the Amiga, and it's very hard to me because it's completely another world. When you program into RTG modes, you don't have the copper, you don't have the blitter, so it reminds me a lot how to do stuff with a modern PC, even if, of course, it's not. But I'm encountering a lot of problems, and today I will show you which problems I'm referring to. And the other project that I would like to start is a joint venture with Carlo, which is he's releasing a set of demo discs. So a collection. Each disc is a collection of unreleased Italian demos, and I would like to join him and do some effect for the selection screen of these demos. Maybe I will start. I don't know. I don't have anything specific in mind. There is um, a cool effect. I think it's called the Blitter Tornado, and I would like to explore this kind of effect. But yeah, the main goal is go there. So trying to go back to the museum, if possible, of course. And lastly, yeah, I think you can. show the game. It's always the same, just two major additions. I put some music, which is alternative to the sound effect. Then there is a new track from Carlo, and then there is some sort of final image. I just scraped the internet for images and put them on the game, of course, converted to RAW. So when the championship comes to an end, you have a photo of the winner and a congratulations screen. Just minor changes, but again, I'm out of ideas right now. The game is, for me, it's almost completed. So you can run the game, and I would show the new track from Carlo, if you agree.
Yeah. Give me a second.
And also the music, which is from Maze.
Just give me a
You
second
know,
because I need to do something to the game first because we forgot to set up the joystick. There you go. So I should be able to, yeah. So I switch to the game. Let's see how it will look. It doesn't look at all. It's my fault though. Give me a second. Because it's the wrong screen. Yeah. Should be able to see it. Okay, so I need to click on
go to the options.
Yeah. Remember, it's loading from floppy now, so it will take time.
Yeah, it's not the floppy loading which is taking time. Is the shrinkler, the
No, I don't know.
decompression routines.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
If you use a higher spec Amiga, the loading time is much better. So you put races value to 1, which is how many races do you want
Yeah.
the championship to end, and then you put music into the sound row.
Okay.
And then you click on back. And you should return to the main screen and you click start game.
Okay, there you go.
And after that, there is a change track option, and you should click next track.
So change track, right?
Yeah, and you go to the next track. I think the second one should be the new track. Or the third, I don't remember. It's called.
Are you going to do a stream where you show how to create a track? Because we haven't shown how.
I have slides about that, how to build. It's a small diary, and this just tells how I created the track for this new track. So there are full instructions, and I will include this document into the repository on GitHub. And the name of the track, I think, is I don't remember the name. Like is Skid, yes. You can click Start Race, and this is the new track. And you should also hear the music.
Yeah, you depress fire. You need to add that to
Yeah,
skip.
this is another thing to.
Yeah, so there is still changes to do.
Yeah. And now you should have the standings and then the final image of
Okay.
the winner.
Anyway, I like the new track that you did. It's quite neat, actually. It's very neat.
Yeah, it's neat and it's good because it's not from me. I didn't do that.
You didn't do that.
Yeah, it's a contribution.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's very neat. It's very nice. Who did it?
Yeah, and hopefully I hope to get some more of this stuff.
Uh-huh.
The disc is half full, as I still have something like 450 kilobytes available, and the game runs on a stock A500 with 1.3 kickstart and half meg of chip RAM. This is all you need in order to play the game. So I think it's quite cheap in terms of resources, and we also have some kilobytes to spare in order to add new assets or maybe bigger music.
Yeah.
I don't know, the mod file or new tracks or whatever. So
Do you mind if I run it again? I want to do the game but with more tracks.
Yeah, you can do it. You can also try to compete with the
Nah.
opponent, but
Let's do 3. I want to see. That was 3, sorry.
but this is the lap count.
Yeah,
It's not the number of
No,
races.
the track, I want the same track. Will it take the same track that we had before?
You have to go back to change track because every time you end the championship, the race counter gets reset and you start from the first track again. That's
Sure.
how it works. And when you finish the first race, then you go to the second track and so on. Loading is quite slow. Maybe I could add some transitional screen in order to please the audience. I don't know.
It's very neat. The new track is very neat.
And it's only 13 colors, including the background. So there is a lot of space if you want to add extra colors.
Yeah.
And there is no ice here, so you can play.
There is no ice, yeah, I noticed. But it's very neat, very neat.
And I hope you appreciate the mention Phaze101 on the left.
No, I didn't notice that. Where is it? Oh yeah. It's cool. I didn't realize that. I was looking at the track.
Pay attention.
It's very, very nice.
And I had some previews of another track with your logo on it. There could be another one, another track branded with the Phaze101 logo.
Yeah, but I seriously encourage you to do a stream where you explain how to create a track.
I can do it right now, but I think it's quite boring for the audience because really it's just...
I mean, you can say to people, go to this video eventually and they can see it also how you did it on the video, no?
Yeah, if they want a full tutorial, maybe a video could be good, but I don't know, it depends. I prefer a PDF with the instruction instead of a video tutorial, but we can do it. I have the slides which are ready.
Okay. Nice. It's it's really improved. Makes a difference, that track. Really makes a difference.
And the thing that I'm more happy with is the fact that when I started, I had in mind exactly something like this. So I succeeded because this is what I was planning to do, and I managed to do it, even with the self-driving cars, which were not initially planned. So I'm quite happy with the result. It took me a long time because I think I started this project, it was late October 2022. So it's almost a year of development every Saturday morning and sometimes also Sunday or my vacation days. But yeah, it's always good when you come to an end and you see that you were able to manage.
Yeah, the fact that you have 14 streams of it, it shows that. Yeah.
How many streams? 14?
14. Yeah.
Yeah. It means yes. I did.
No, but 14 is, remember, 14 is you were on and off, no? So I would take average every 2 weeks your stream is. So yeah, 14 is quite a long one.
Yeah. Even if some of my streams were not strictly related to the game, but it's a path of learning for me. For example, when I made a stream where I had this bug which occurred only on real hardware, I had to study how to use the ACA 500 Plus in order to debug with the HTR-Mon. So it was not strictly related to the game, but this is something that now, some knowledge that now I have and I can use for my future project.
Yeah. No, good job. So now we are going to talk about something else or something related still to Amiga. The only thing I want to say in relation to this is that we have tested this setup before the stream. Quality of video might decrease a bit because of the way things are done. But I hope it will still be it will still be okay for you guys to understand what Ozzy did or is going to do. So Ozzy, please share the screen.
Okay, I will release the webcam if it's okay for you.
You have to
And
release
then-
the webcam to share the screen. It does it automatically.
Okay, let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
So share.
Yeah.
I'm sharing the.
Yeah. There you go.
So this is the PDF I was talking about. Just a brief mention. This is what I did. Each page just explain how my process, which of course is mine. There is no unique way to do this. Is I use, for example, an XN view to see the IFF image, and then this is my directory structure, and this is my converter from IFF to RAW. Of course, there are plenty of tools out there that do the job excellent very well. This is how I append the data, because when I got this image, it was not 5-bit planes, but the game expect
Can you
5-bit
make
planes.
this?
So
Can you make this slide big? I mean, can you start the slides, because as they are small, and as we said, the
you should see better now.
let's see. Yeah, it's better like that. Yeah.
But it was just a brief mention how I do stuff. It's a document that I want to. Maybe next time we can do if I have a new image, maybe we can try to do real time, real, on the stream. So the conversion on the screen on the stream. And this is the part when you get the metadata. So you have, this is the most atrocious part for me, because you have to draw each pixel one by one, where the car is allowed to go and where is not. So you see there are these black bands, black portions of this area. This is where the car is not allowed to go. So the car will bounce off the wall. And I do this with GIMP. If you know this software, it's you can do it, but it's very slow process. Maybe there is a better way to do this stuff.
You can
And these
stop
are
you can stop the webcam. Sorry. Just I'm noticing that we are not seeing the webcam, but your webcam is on, so I don't know if you've suffered from bandwidth. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then start. This is an example of what how I do the zones in order to not allow the player to cheat and go back and forth pretending to have done a full lap. And this is how I export the metadata with GIMP. And this is a make file for this, which is how Linux user usually do for compiling. I don't know Windows user if they use the same method, but yes, I have this make file, and it just do all this stuff. This is where you have to put these are just placeholder when the car must start and so on. So it's not really completed. There is this part which is I have to finish it, but yeah, just to a quick mention of this document that I will release. But coming to us, so I wanted to show this. This is my first attempt to make things work in another way on the Amiga. And probably you already know that there are, this is chat, don't pay attention to the name, it's just a random one. It's not code from ChatGPT, it's mine with some information that I took from the web. I tried to ask ChatGPT to do all the heavy lifting for me, but he failed. And understandable.
Um,
Um,
Ozzy, give me a second. Can I ask the audience, guys, do you see the screen properly? Do you because as I said, we didn't test it. I can see it okay, but I'm directly connected to Ozzy in a way, but I do not know on the stream is if this it's the first time I try this, if this is working clearly enough for you to see the screen or to read the screen. So if you can please let us know, Hound Dog, are you able to read what's on the screen? Okay, okay, good. Sorry, Ozzy, for interrupting, but this it's better to ask now than later.
of course, of course. So, as I was saying, this is first of all, this is C code. It's not assembler, and I did that because first of all, I just found examples on the web on C, but of course you can rewrite this on assembler. It's not a big deal. The other part is that this code is meant to be run on high spec Amigas, so high level Amigas. For example, a P-Storm or a Vampire, or probably it works also with Cyberstorm, PPC cards. I don't know, but this is what I have. I tested this on PyStorm and the Vampire, and I'm using the Bebo GCC compiler just because it comes with all this stuff that I need. For example, this cybergraphics.h. This is something which is already included in Bebo repository. I don't know in the repository of Bartman if we have this stuff. It would be great, but for what I understand, the Bartman toolchain is meant for classic Amiga with so the old school Amiga with the copper and the blitter and so on. This is why I picked the
Oh,
Bebo.
I didn't know. So hold on. So the Bartman, say it again. So the Bartman one is for classic Amigas, and the other one is for what?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
Uh-huh.
saying that, for example, this if you want to include the
Yeah.
cybergraphics.h, I think, and this is only my assumption, I don't know if it's true or not. My
Mm-hmm.
assumption is that you have to do some extra work on the Bartman side.
Uh-huh.
Instead, what I'm quite sure is that if you compile from GitHub all the toolchain from Bebo BCC, the Bebo repository,
Uh-huh.
you get all the complete Amiga NDK. So, for example, you all get automatically protographics.h,
Sure, sure. Yeah.
protointuition.h, all the header files and all the libraries. There are also some libraries that gives you the ability to use printf, for example, so the C standard lib. So it's quite complete, I will say, and works just fine. This is why I picked Beppo instead of Bartman for this
Sure.
particular project. And so you already know that the Amiga OS comes with this intuition concept, which is a way of managing Windows, so all the GUI, the graphical data in Workbench, so that gives you facilities how to move window, how to close, open windows, all this stuff. And the cyber graphics is just an extension of all this work that was done by Commodore back in the days. And it gives you the ability to give data instead of to the NIS. You just use a graphic card, I would say, on RTG mode. And this is my goal, because when you buy a vampire or you just buy a P-Storm, it
Mm-hmm.
comes with this, and it's an already built-in embedded graphic card. If you want, of course, so you can go to full HD, for example. I have my workbench in full HD, and instead, if you have the old Amiga 500, I think you can go, I don't know, high res. It's 640 pixel wide and 480 of height. So I think that's the maximum. Maybe there are some interlaced modes. You can go higher with HEA, but it's always a planar screen. So it means that you have to point bit planes, and then the overlapping bit planes, they form the color. And here the concept is different. You have a real chunky screen, so you don't need a chunky to planar routine in order to work. You just have a native chunky screen. So from a programmer point of view, it could be better because it's easier to manage instead of repeating the cycle for each bit plane. At least for me, it's easier. But of course, there is a reason why back in the days the Commodore engineers took this planar approach. They were not crazy at all. But with a faster processor, I think makes sense also to work on chunky screen. So what I did here, there is this. Please don't pay attention to the indentation. This is just a test. What I have here, you do the open library. So I open, instead of graphics.library, you have cybergraphics.library. And of course, this library must exist inside your Amiga. And you get the base of this library. This is, as usual, the Amiga way of doing things. And then you call this function, which is part of the cybergraphics, which is best cmod ID tag list. So here we are asking the system to give us a screen with these properties. So the width must be 640, the height of the screen must be 480, and we are asking for a 24-bit depth screen. So it means every pixel will be formatted by 3 bytes. The first byte will be, in this case, is red. The second one is green, and the third one is blue. We could also go for 32, and we could add the alpha value here. This is something which is possible in this mode. Instead, if you have the planar screen, I don't know how to reproduce. There are methods in order to simulate the alpha channel, but things that gets very complicated very easily. So the strange thing here is that you get a mode ID, which it means that the system will try to select a mode according to the underlying hardware that match this, or at least it's near what you asked for. And this is represented by this mode ID, which is just a ulong variable, so a 32-bit variable. This function is just let you check if you are using the cyber graphics, if you are in cyber mode or not. And then I think this open screen tags is something that you already have it. It's part of the OS. I think it's inside the Intuition library. I think it's Intuition, but not really sure. But if it's not Intuition, it's graphic.library. I just feed this open screen tag with this mode ID. I don't know why I have to replicate all these parameters here. This is something that very obscure to me, but in every example on the internet I tried this, I found this type of examples. And here with this tag list structure, you can set the properties of the screen. So also the screen is something which is quite new to me, yeah, at least of the concept, because the Amiga has this layer of screens. You can put one screen in front of another, put one above and one below, all this stuff. So it's all managed by the OS. And so this screen data structure is just, let's say, the at the top of the hierarchy. Inside the screen, you can put windows and gadgets and a lot of stuff. And then I use Open Windows tags, and this is, I think, also part of Intuition/graphics library. It's not something related strictly to cyber graphics. And I'm just saying, please give me a window inside the screen and take the whole screen. So the size of the window is over the screen. This is another strange thing I had to do. There is a set pointer function inside the graphics library, I think. And this is just because I don't want the pointer of the mouse to be shown, because usually when you do demos, you don't have the pointer of the mouse. And this is how I reset. I say to the OS, please don't show the pointer. This no OS is something that we already saw it. We are just shutting down the OS, and it's implemented here. No OS, and this is code that you already know it. I just poke into DFF 096. I think this is to disable all DMA, and we save the old DMA into the zero in some location, and then we just disable all the interrupt just to take over all the resources. And this is where the fun begins. So inside a window, there is this data structure which is called the Rust port, and the Rust port has a bitmap on it, and you can draw inside this bitmap and see your change reflected to the screen. And this is actually what I do. Here, this is just a test in order to check the depth of the bitmap, but this is where I allocate bitmap, and this is, again, part of the OS. So we have this bitmap, which is called the BM. And then this is another concept of the OS, which is locking. And I don't know why, but it seems that it's very important to lock bitmaps before making use of it. And this concept of blocking, it's unknown to me. Probably they have good reason to use it, probably because the Amiga OS is multitasking and they want to give exclusive access to this VM data structure. I don't know. This is, I think, the only reasonable reason why to do that. And this is where the fun begins. So this is a cycle. So we are cycling for every Y position and for every X position. So we are just traveling the whole screen. And this is something that you can't just do on a stock Amiga, because on a stock Amiga, as an iteration like this is nested, and it will take forever. And this is just to clear the screen. When I clear the screen, usually on classic Amiga, I just select the portion of the screen that needs to be redrawn, and I use the blitter in order to zero all this portion of memory, because the blitter is quite fast when deleting, because it's using just one channel. So it makes sense to use the blitter. here, when you are using CyberGraphics, you don't have access to the blitter, or maybe you could, but it's too slow if compared to the processor. So it doesn't make sense to blit over here. And additionally, I think all this stuff is on fast RAM, so and the blitter can't access the fast RAM. But anyway, what I'm doing here, I just go to position 00, and then I set on the first byte the value 255, which is FF. The same stuff for the following byte, the same stuff for the third byte, and then I increment the pointer by 3. And this should set every pixel in the screen to white, because the 25 FF should be the code for the the white. Okay, so this is how I clean the whole bitmap. Then my goal was, once you have this white canvas, you can draw something on it. Should be very cool. But I want to do this in assembler. And this is how I call an assembler routine from C. I don't know if it's correct or not, but for me it works. I just put into the C code the call to my assembler routine, and then this ASM draw is called here in the companion.s file. I think it's here. Okay. So it seems that if you assemble this and you compile the C file, then the linker is able to resolve the symbols, and it will automatically import all this routine inside the final executable. And I don't know how it works, but it's magic. For me, it's black magic, but it works. What I do here, I just read the parameters from the stack. The SP on the Amiga is A7, and when this routine is called, the GCC compiler automatically puts all these 3 arguments into the stack. It pushes into the stack. And with this instruction, I'm just retrieving the values of the arguments, and I put into the register of the processor. So for example, this mov.l for SP, I just say, this is a pointer. So the content of data PDR should go into register A0 here. Then the second one, since I'm using a long value, I must add 4 bytes, and into the 0 I just put the bytes per row, which is this value here. So this is just an integer values that tells us how many bytes we have for each row. And it should be, for example, 640 per tree, because we are using RGB. And then I just pass this number here is just a counter which gets reset. So what I'm doing here, I'm just locating where I want to plot a point into this bitmap using the usual multiplication, and then I add to the base of the bitmap the bytes per row multiplied by row number, and then I draw something. For example, this move.p are just saying that the first pixel should be red, the second big pixel should be and this is 0FF, so it's green, and that's it. And then I just start again doing another couple of pixels. So what I would like to do with this program, I just want at every cycle, I want to turn on this pixel. And the final result is something like this. And then I don't know if you will see something. I really doubt. I will explain what is going on if you can't see it, because I think it's harder to notice the pixel. So you get this white screen, and there are the pixel, which are, if you notice on the left, these pixels are moving towards the bottom of the screen. So
Yeah,
this
I
is,
can see them. I can see something moving down the
yeah,
screen. It is very blurred. I mean, blurred in the sense it's so small. But I cannot tell the color of it. So, but yeah, there is something going down.
but okay, just trust my word. The first pixel is red, the second one is green, the third is red, and then the other is green again.
Uh-huh.
That's not the point. The point is, let's just shut down WinUAE. The point is that something is wrong here, because if you look here, we have this while check left mouse button.
Mm-hmm.
And this check left mouse button here is implemented in assembler, and this is something that we already know it. Let me check, and this is, so I'm testing bit 6 of BFE001, and then I set the 0 to 1 or to nothing, to 0, according if you are pressing the left mouse button. So this 0 here is returned into here. So this while statement is evaluating our D0. If we check, if we click the mouse, we just break here, so we go outside the iteration. My problem is the following. Since we are inside a while loop, I'm allocating bitmap, I'm every frame, and I'm here I'm resetting the whole screen to white. Then I plot my point, and I unlock a bitmap, and then there is this bitmap Rust port, and this just tells the OS, hey, the bitmap has been updated. Please blitz all this data into the Rust port, this win.rust port. So it's a lot of work, but with my vampire should be no problem. And this BLT bitmap Rust port is just, you can think like a blitter. It's implemented in software, I think. It's not, I don't think it's using the real blitter. But as you can see, for example, these are the min terms, this C0. So the concept is always the same. Please copy a rectangle of data from one location to another. And here we are copying this bitmap, which is pointed by BM, and start from position 0, 0, and then you go from border left, border top, VH.
So there is a question from Dario, and there's a question from me. First, I tell you the question of Dario. Why do you need to allocate a bitmap every frame?
Because it's just a test. I tried to put the allocation outside the while loop. Doesn't change anything. And this is my problem. And my problem is, as you can see here, there is no wait instruction. Okay, this is commented, and this is where the loop ends. And sorry again for the indentation. But the problem is that since this while loop here has no delay, so usually when you program a demo on the Amiga, you wait for the beam to reach a particular position. This is how, it's a one simple way to tell the Amiga, please, the demo must go at this speed. But here, There is no such function because I'm not waiting for the beam to reach a particular position. I'm not waiting for anything. So I'm expecting that the CPU goes as fast as it can, and it just try to execute all this stuff. So this allocation bitmap and this locking, unlocking, and etc. as fast as it can. But
Okay.
as you can see here, and I will show it again. Wait, it's going very, very, very slow. So the reason could be that this machine is a 040, so a 40, a 68 40. So we have a lot of power. I would say it should be able to handle this type of stuff. And I tried to make this iteration a little bit lighter. I mean, to
So
offload this allocation, for example, this locking mechanism. I also asked to please don't bleed every time all the window. Please bleed just a small portion, but the performance is always the same. So my assumption is that it's not the CPU strangling, throttling
yeah.
this speed.
So my question is, okay, so I can understand that it's not a CPU issue, but it's an OS issue.
Yeah,
That's
probably yes, but remember that I disabled the OS, so no interrupts are running, no DMA, no nothing.
uh how
So
did you disable the OS if you open the screen with the OS and if you open the uh, RAS port with the OS? I do not see that. So that's the first. And my second question that I wanted to ask earlier is, does it still rely that memory has to be, because we're talking about uh, chunky now, not planar. Does it still rely on chip mem for it? And
I think it's allocating on fast mem. I don't know because I don't know if there is a way to tell C compiler, please use this particular section. But if you don't specify anything, I think you should use the fast memory by default.
and the other thing is, you have a screen which is 640 by 480 that by itself, even if you had to open it in planar, it is very slow on the Amiga. So
But remember that we have a vampire.
yeah,
So
well, give me a second. But the screen is a screen. No, it's whatever. You have a CPU which is faster, not uh, you know, drawing to the screen. It's still the same. But what I want to say also is that, have you tried to lower the resolution like 320 by 200 and see what it does on planar?
I think I did it, but I didn't notice any performance changes. The strange thing that I notice is that if I run this executable on a vampire, the points are moving much faster,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, not so much. If I run this executable in a PyStorm, it flies.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah.
this doesn't make sense to me actually because I'm just asking. So this code here, this should be very very fast because it's I'm iterating 2 times and just move, we have 6 move.b and 2 add quick. So this is not at all okay. We have a multiplication, okay, but yeah, as you can see
I
there,
think
as ASM draw, it's very light,
I think
in my opinion.
I'm I'm not trying to judge your code, but I think you are, because I was going to say we, but I haven't done anything. So I think you are missing something, that there is something that maybe you don't know, you still need to find out about, because doesn't make sense that it is same speed if you change the resolution. It really doesn't. There must be something else that you don't know.
There is something missing.
Yeah.
But the problem here is in this subject, the Google is not very helpful.
Yeah, I can
It
imagine.
seems that
I can
it's
imagine.
it seems it's an unexplored area
Yeah,
of
it's
the
an explored
Amiga.
area.
Because really, I just see 99% of things done on the Amiga are for ECS, OCS, and AGA. And when it comes to this stuff, which could be quite interesting since I know that this type of ports cost 1,000 euros on eBay or something like that, and no software is able to run it. There are some demos out there which are stunning, to be honest, and mm, also they have some methods to run the same stuff on AGA or on native RTG, and I really don't know, have no clue how do they manage to do this. But I think demos from FIDREM, I think the name, and they just released the executable for AGA of RTG, or they are able to select the mode automatically. So there is for sure there is something. So it works. It just I don't see any documentation on the internet. Of course, the REM book, the book of Fabio is not very helpful here because it stops at AGA, and thanks God that we have a chapter about AGA.
No, it
But
does
this
go.
is
It does
something
go.
that
It does go into this. Check the chapter check the chapter of AGA. It goes into this, but
into cyber graphics. I don't.
into
I didn't see.
into using Chunky. It does go. It explains on the A1200 how you can go into Chunky, but he says it's a bit of a because there was the monitor which was I forgot what was the name, but 2024 or 2020, I forgot the monitor number that could do Chunky, and he goes into that, but it's not
using AGA. I think.
Yeah, of course, using AGA. So he goes into that, but it is really, really not clear. It's I think what you have here is a lot more than what there is in the book. So I mean, you have it in C, okay, not in assembly, but I think you have more than what there is in the book. There are some comments on the chat. Dario saying you have 4 times the amount of pixels and 3 bytes per pixels. It is a huge amount of data, I guess, so that's why it is slow. You should disassemble your exe and find what the heck is doing the bitmap or whatever. And there's a good suggestion, which I think it's a good suggestion. Maybe OS4 documentation, because OS4 documentation does use Chunky. So
I didn't want to go into disassembly a C program. I think it's very painful to do and requires a lot of knowledge and time. I think I was just looking for documentation and just maybe taking examples of other demos.
I think the point of Hound Dog, though, check the documentation for OS4. That might give you some hints, or MorphOS, documentation of MorphOS, because MorphOS also supports Chunky.
Yeah, but it's not classic Amiga.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know
it has in the OS. It has things that might help you understanding how it is done. No, I mean, because they are compatible in a way. Not OS4, but MorphOS is to a certain extent. So yeah, maybe you should check those. It's there's no harm in checking them.
MorphOS is reimplementing the same APIs. Probably I will find something, even if all this chunky screen is very obscure to me. It's very.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine.
I'm a little bit.
I would not, me myself, I would not venture myself into trying to understand chunky. That is me. I do not, although I understand your enthusiasm and why, um, I'm do not see. Let's say I learn it, what I'm going to do with it. That's my thing.
No, my thing is that it's a lot easier for a human to think chunky mode. So you just want a pixel to be read. It's just one assignment. With the old Amiga style, you have to set a palette, you have to point the bit plane pointers, and then you start writing bit by bit in the same exact location, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you start doing interleaved because you want the blit to save something. So this
Also, how do
could
you
be
control frames when you have it when you have chunky? How do you control frames? I have no idea.
you just don't. The As I told you before, you have this bitmap screen, bitmap data structure, BM alloc bitmap, and this just allocates your bit planes. Let's call bit planes, and then you use this function which is BLT blit bitmap Rust port. You just assign, and because all the data in order to blit is already embedded in these windows that and
Yeah,
this
but how are you syncing that? Let's say the computer is able to blit, I don't know, 3 times per, sorry, not 3 times, 60 per second, just to keep it simple, like the normal. How are you going to tell it, okay, I want to update the screen, I don't know, every 25th frames, or I don't know, every odd frame, or
ah
whatever. How do you do that?
that's exactly my point. I don't know how to synchronize the ray beam of the screen with my program because I could query, of course, the chipset, but if I do this, I'm just getting the ray beam of my CRT screen. But here I'm using HDMI, so I'm using retardable graphics. I'm not using that beam. I have two monitors connected to my Amiga. One is the old 1080S, 1084S, and the other is a regular modern plasma LED screen connected via HDMI. So I have two beams,
Mhm.
but I don't know how to control the beam related to the
Do they
graphic
display
card.
the same thing? So the 184S and the your HD monitor, do they display the same thing on both? One you see it in HD
No,
and the,
no, they are completely unrelated.
yeah.
Yes, they are complete. At least on the P-Storm and on the Vampire, they are completely unrelated. If you start, for example, the workbench on RTG,
Yeah.
so you have your modern screen which is showing workbench.
Uh-huh.
Then you launch VHLoad with your old demo from the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then the modern screen turns off because no more signal, and then you see that all the data is passing through the DB23
Okay, so
analog
what
screen.
you're saying is the Amiga can only display on one screen at a time. That's what you're saying.
For what I know, yes.
Mm-hmm. It cannot have dual
So
monitor. That's why I was asking it.
no, but there is Gunnar that made something on the V4 because he implemented everything. So he put a copy of the chip memory into the Vampire. So the Vampire is able to display the analog, old-fashioned stuff on your
Uh-huh.
HDMI monitor. But this is another thing on if you use like me a V2 or a P Storm, you are just changing the processor and the fast RAM. And in this case, if you are using retargetable screen, you have to attach an HDMI modern monitor
Sure.
to the Amiga. So you have two outputs, different outputs. Another thing that I want to mention here, for example, this is taken from the Apollo coding section, and they do stuff in assembler. And this is how it works in a vampire, and works just fine, to be honest.
Dario is suggesting some stuff. I don't know if you've read the comments in the meantime, but I can read them out. He said, the chunky thing, first of all, is the reason why a stupid VGA on PC won the fight against the Amiga world. Well, I think it won because the Amiga died. He continues saying, if you don't have a way to wait for the V-blank, then you have to do what we did, what he did, I assume, on VGA. You need a timer to handle the logic, skipping frames if needed, and copy from an off-screen buffer to the screen with a fast copy mem function. You got some
this
tearing.
Is true.
Yeah.
This is true, but you forget that ideally you have to update the screen during the V-blank. The timer can tell you V-blank when this occurs.
So
I suppose
this was something that was difficult in the PC back in the days to know exactly the timer.
Yeah.
At least this is how I remember it. I'm not saying that I'm right, because I think it was not built into the BIOS, you know. I think it was Interrupt 13, if I remember correctly, to selecting the graphic mode for the PC. But later on, I think something happened and that was able to, you could have it basically. But I forgot. You know, PC is not my my area. Let's say that.
Just one weird thing that I want to show you. As I said, this is something that was taken from the documentation of the vampire. And for example, I told you before that in order to clear the pointer, the mouse pointer, there is a dedicated function here which is called set pointer, and it's documented by Commodore. And this is how to use it. And on the website of the Apollo team, I get this CLR, so this is a clear instruction, and this is a particular location, and you won't believe it, it works on the vampire. This one, it just kills the mouse pointer, and I don't know how it's possible, but it works. But it won't work on cards which are not with the vampire core. So very strange for me.
So you're saying standard Amiga, it won't clear it?
Yeah, but the DFF1DO, it's a legit address. I think it's documented. It's part of the AGA chipset. So I should expect work everywhere, but it works only on vampires. I don't know why, but that's not a big deal. The other even weirder part is, for example, this. Okay. Let me
so
check.
1DOO is the ultra high res, so you have to have AGA for it to work. Without AGA, it won't work. And it is it's a register that was extended, let's say, to extend the sprites. So you have high res sprites because the AGA can support high res sprites. So that's the register for the the sprite pointer.
Maybe the vampire is doing something magic behind the scenes. I don't know.
But you have to have an AGA for it to work. Without AGA, that will not work.
Yeah, but my code is working on a regular ECS A600. And this works just fine, even if, of course, it's not
But
AGA because I don't have.
hold on. But by default, that register is 0. So if you clear it, I mean, you should not be using that register, but if you, let's say, have an AGA machine and you want to use OCS, then that register should be cleared, no? Should not be used. Should be 0. I mean, registers that were not used were initialized to 0 on the Amiga.
Okay, but why I have the effect of the pointer disappearing on ECS machine if this BFF is something is not used?
Because I mean, this is my conclusion, maybe I'm wrong, but on OCS that register should be 0. So because you have the RTG driver or whatever you have, it's writing something there, okay, which the RTG driver can interpret even though you don't have AGA. But if you clear it, that's it. I mean, you cleared it.
Okay, so this leads to the other question: why the PStorm is not doing that? The only way to clear it is using the calls to the OS.
Well, the PyStorm I cannot comment, but the RTG is something that maybe the implementation is not perfect, but if you have Cyber, what I forgot which card you're using. Yeah.
The implementation of PyStorm, I can assure you that every single demo on RTG that I tried on PStorm works just fine. So it's hard to me to believe that.
It doesn't mean that it is it implemented correctly, just because things work.
But anyway, this is at least a subject of study because for me,
it is.
Really, I'm very confused about this topic. And just one last thing, I want you to take a look at this move instruction. The screen PTR is what you call bit plane. Also, in this case, we don't have 5-bit planes or 8-bit planes. I have just one big blob of data. I'm just putting the address of which is inside the screen PTR into DFF1EC.
Yes, which is the VRAM. Which is the VRAM. Yeah, these are all documented in Fabio's book.
Yeah, okay, but also this instruction doesn't work on the PStorm and works just fine on the Vampire. And additionally, the CyberGraphic documentation just states that you have to use don't bank into register directly. Please use our bleed function.
So that instruction works on AGA machine. That register is used on an AGA machine. So an A1200 has got that register, and it uses that register, the 1EC, same as the 1DOO. So I'm starting to think, and these registers are there for what Fabio says, that they are there for chunky. So maybe the PyStorm doesn't implement chunky. I mean, I don't know, but those registers, the 2 registers that you mentioned, are mentioned in the book also. So
yeah, this is my conclusion. If any of you has a PyStorm on the 1200, for example, which has AGA, maybe this program starts working, because on my PStorm, which is mounted on an A600, it doesn't. I just have a empty window, probably because it's only for the AGA chipset. I don't know.
I cannot know because I do not have one. I mean, I do have one, but I'd never bothered installing it on my Amigas. I have to be honest, I don't have it. Actually, this look, it's still
But
it's still it's still in the plastic bag. You know, it's still here. It's still here. I don't know if you can see it, but it is here. It takes the pi up here, and this goes on the 68,000. So it is here. But I never bothered to install it. I never bothered to install it.
I have another one just like you, but point is, just for one time in my life, I want to program in the Amiga without counting cycles because really I fed up with this. So just for one time, I want to say, okay, I don't bother if I'm wasting cycles and see what happens. So I'm just using this powerhouse.
If you use the PyStorm, you don't need to count cycles. I think. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think you need to count cycles. Maybe it doesn't support RTG, but it is fast enough now, the PyStorm, to not to even bother about cycles. So yeah,
I'm just saying, I'm just want to do something which is able to run on both platforms. This is why I'm just giving a look at these cyber graphics routines and just trying to use the OS instead of banging directly the hardware. But yes,
I think you're better off doing the way you're doing it. I agree with you. For once, I agree not using the OS, the hardware.
Yeah, because I don't have the boost I need on this machine. So
yeah.
the demo should work exactly the same, and I don't have the problem at exit or just enable things and restore it. So it should be easier. Anyway, this stuff here works just fine on the Vampire, and using triple buffering, and at the end of I'm using weight off here in order to synchronize, or so you see here different methods, just blank or using weight off. It doesn't matter, even if is occurring this stuff at the middle of the race, the chunky screen, the vampire is able to do not split the image. So here I just flip the image. So I'm using triple buffering here. I have this trim PTR 0 and then 1, 2, 3, and works just fine, to be honest.
I mean, personally, I'm really interested because me myself, as I said, I cannot really think what I can do with it, but I'm interested what you're going to achieve with it, because maybe you'll get me interested in trying to do something with it also. But right now, I just cannot really see what I can do with it. I mean, nobody has ever written a game for chunky. So even if it uses the vampire or whatever, or the PyStorm or whatever, I would be that would intrigate me to get me interested in trying it. So yeah, in a way, I am hooked to this project of yours.
Yeah. Also, here you can use, for example, this instruction, which is move 16, which is something new to me.
That is
you can.
That is that vampire, or is that 6?
No.
No, that is 6. That is 6.
020.
The 20. It's 20. No, it's 68020 has it, I believe. Yeah, I think.
And you can see here, for example, I'm using my AProcessing stuff in RTG and works just fine. And this is how I plot the point. So the point routine is able to recognize there is a RTG version of the plot point routine and another planner. So I use them.
Yeah.
And works. This works fine on the vampire. But still, my goal is to have something that should be usable also on the P-Storm. This is why I started all this stuff here with set pointer and get bip up at. So if I'm using uh, the OS, a lot of problems are solved with the P-Storm. But I have this, I don't know how to synchronize stuff. So this is the first problem. I will use the timer. And another problem that I have is that sometimes I get unexpected pixel colors inside the P-Storm. So, and really, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. But yeah, that's it. That's what I was trying to show you today. It's a little bit different. Hope you appreciated that, because maybe always talking about bit planes, it gets boring.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I like what we covered. To be fair, I am sorry that we mixed it with the rest, because this would have been a nice topic by itself, in a way.
The problem is I'm not the best person to talk about this, because it's my...
You always underestimate yourself. Yeah, you're okay, man. You're doing okay.
No, I'm not. This is my first shot at trying to solve these problems.
Yeah, but no,
and I'm
but
facing
you know, I
a
have
lot
a
of
philosophy.
problems.
I have a philosophy, and I told you this. Nobody knew anything. Okay, everybody started from zero. So do not. I mean, I'm not afraid of, because somebody knows it all and I don't know it. You know, that guy that knows it all also started from zero. And this is how I reason things. So yeah, you're starting from zero and you have more knowledge than what I know in relation to this. So yeah, don't be hard on yourself. You're doing quite well.
To be honest, I right now I feel a little bit lost, because, for example, even on AmiNet, I don't find a lot of resources about this topic.
Yeah,
And
that
around
is
the
the
web,
problem that you're going to have. No, you're not going to find enough info, I guess. Yeah.
There is a solution on this, but it is a way I don't want to go, is to use SDL. If you use SDL, all these problems disappear.
Yeah, but
So,
SDL, what's the point?
yeah, right now I'm reading SDL, the libraries, and the Amiga implementation, and I'm trying to figure out how this works, because the
Sure.
SDL, for me, it's a lot of useful information. But of course, I don't want to do that. I used the CDL in the past for porting stuff from Linux to Amiga. But if I'm doing a project just for the Amiga from scratch, I don't want to use SDL. It's an extra layer of complexity.
Yeah.
That's, for me, it's no benefit. But,
yeah, SDL is nice on PC, not on Amiga. I mean, personally, okay, it's a personal thing, not a. I mean, I know how to use SDL on PC, so I'm not saying it's not nice or it's not good. I did a lot actually with SDL on PC, but yeah, on Amiga.
Yeah, there is an SDL 1.2 Amiga implementation, which works just fine. I know that they use this to port Diablo, for example, on the Amiga, and it's on RTG screen, for what I know. Even Heart of Darkness and the Command and Conquer. So RT did a very good job doing this. He converted all the codes from SDL 2.0 to, so he downgraded to 1.2. It's a huge work. I don't know really how did he manage to do this.
Yeah, there is. Yes. I remember SDL 1.2 for the Amiga, and I remember SDL 1.2 because that's when I started. I mean, then there was 2.0. But yeah.
There is also a 2.0 implementation,
yes.
but I never tried it. They say it's very buggy.
For the Amiga, you mean? Because for PC, it's okay.
Yeah, for the Amiga, it's debuggy. I didn't try it. Just
Sure. Anyway, I think we'll finish here unless you guys have more things to say. So, guys, first of all, I like to thank Ozzy. It was a really, really interesting session. Especially
Can I
this last
say
part.
just one last thing?
Yeah,
It's just an announcement. If any of the audience of anyone who followed this stream or see the recorded stream has some information or wants to know more about this topic, please get in touch with me. We can collaborate and share our findings.
sure. Yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course. So yeah, thanks once again, Ozzy, for this interesting topic. You made also Dario happy with showing C. Um, I should be streaming next Sunday, but if I don't sort out the graphics for the game, I will skip next Sunday because this is something I need sorted. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Hope you have a lovely week and see you in my next stream. See you guys. Bye bye.